last year, my own investment portfolio grew by 88%. And before I say anything else, I want to be completely clear about something. I cannot promise you the same because growth like that is not guaranteed. I want to say that part plainly right at the start before the number does any of the talking. I'm telling you that number for a completely different reason because I think that the real story behind it is more useful to you than the number itself. And here's a belief that I want to challenge today, one that almost nobody says out loud, but a lot of successful people quietly hold. And it's the belief that people who do well with money must just know what to do, that there's some instinct, some gift, some financial sense that you either have or you don't have. And if you don't feel like you have it, well, that's just who you are with money, and there's not much that you can do about it. And I want to spend the next few minutes telling you why that is not true, using my year as an example. Let me start with what did not happen because I think it matters just as much as what did. First, I did not pick a hot stock. I didn't get lucky on a single well-timed call. I didn't just piece some information together. There was no clever discovery, no secret tip, nothing dramatic at all. And if I'm honest, what actually happened is much less exciting to describe and much more useful to actually copy. I sat down and I gave my portfolio a real structure for the first time. Before that point, I had investments scattered across different things, added at different times in my life for different reasons that I couldn't always fully explain if you had asked me. And I did not have a strategy. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Because here's what the structure actually looked like, broken into three parts. First was the money that protects me so that when the market gets uncomfortable, and they always do eventually, I am not panicking or making crazy decisions out of fear. The second is money that compounds steadily over time, where every single piece has an actual reason for being there, not just something that I added because somebody somewhere mentioned it. And then the third one is a smaller, deliberate size portion set aside for higher conviction moves, things that I feel genuinely strongly about, but they are sized correctly so that it doesn't scatter my entire portfolio. And that is the entire mechanism. It is not a secret formula, it's not a gift I was born with, it's a structure that you build once and you compound on. And the next point here is why the number isn't actually the point. And I think it's the most important part of this whole video. If I told you that number, 88%, and I just left you sitting there with no explanation, you'll probably walk away thinking you need to go and find whatever I found, some clever pick, some perfect piece of timing, some secret sauce that you are missing. And that would be the wrong lesson to take from this video. And it's the reason I keep coming back to the non-promise part, because I mean it. I cannot promise you 88%. Nobody on earth can promise you a specific number ever when it comes to investing. If someone does promise you a specific return, it is not confidence, it's a red flag, and it's exactly the kind of thing worth being suspicious of rather than trusting. What I can tell you though with real confidence is that the process behind that number is repeatable, not the outcome, the process. So you sitting down and actually categorizing what you own, understanding in one sentence why each piece is there, having an actual system for what happens every single time you have new money coming in instead of redeciding from scratch every time. That process, it doesn't guarantee you 88% or any specific number at all. What it guarantees you is that you are no longer improvising with your investments. And I think for most people, that alone is worth more than chasing a number. And here is part 3, why this matters more than the number itself. I see this constantly. So many people assume that the people who do well with money must have some instinct that simply other people don't have. And I want to tell you as directly as I can that that is almost never true. Most of the successful people that I've worked with, they came to me with exactly what you probably have right now. Investments without a real thesis behind them. A system that existed only in fragments, if it existed at all. Good intentions that somehow never quite turned into an actual structure year after year. The number people actually admire, the 88%, the results, whatever it is downstream of one decision that most people never actually make. And it's not a clever decision, it's a simple one. You sit once and you build a structure properly instead of continuing to add to something that is unstructured and just hoping that it works out eventually. And that's genuinely it. That's the whole difference between the people who feel like they have some special instinct for money and the people who don't. It was never about instinct. It was about structure built deliberately at some specific point instead of never. So here's what I actually want you to do with everything that I've just told you. Not to chase a number. Please don't try to replicate my exact results, because that would genuinely be the wrong takeaway from this video. Because your situation, your timeline, your risk tolerance, none of that is the same as mine. So just ask yourself one honest question. Do I currently have a structure with my investment? moment, or do I have a collection of decisions that I made at different times for different reasons that have just been sitting there ever since? If it's the second one, I want you to be really clear that it's not failure on your part. That's just where most people are, right up until the moments that they actually build a structure. It was where I was as well before the year that everything changed. And I walk you through exactly how to build your structure properly for your own situation in my free workshop that I run weekly. There's a link to that in the description. If you'd rather talk it through with me directly first, then just message me the word portfolio on Instagram and I'll point you in the right direction. I'll see you in the next one.